What if the greatest blessings from heaven paved a direct road to hell? What if a society so advanced and prosperous it became a jewel of the ancient world held a dark secret so vile it would provoke a punishment never before seen on earth? This is the story of a lone prophet's desperate stand against a tidal wave of sin, and a divine judgment so absolute its haunting scars can still be seen today. And we sent Lut as our messenger. When he said to his people, "Do you commit such immorality as no one has preceded you with from among the worlds?" Surah Al-Araf, Al-Quran. The paradise that rotted from within. Centuries before the final prophecy, nestled in the fertile Jordan Valley, lay a cluster of cities that were a paradise on earth. Sodom, Gomorrah, and their sisters. This wasn't a barren desert. It was a testament to Allah's boundless favor. Imagine rivers weaving through lands so rich they burst with life, lush date groves offering sweet fruit, and verdant pastures that made them a vibrant hub of trade and wealth. The air itself hummed with the buzz of commerce and prosperity. To any traveler, this was a civilization at its peak. Into this prosperous world, Allah guided a man of impeccable character, a soul whose heart beat in rhythm with divine truth, the Prophet Lut, alayhi salam. As the nephew of the great patriarch Ibrahim, alayhi salam, he carried the pure flame of monotheism. While Ibrahim settled in Canaan, Lut was divinely assigned to Sodom, not as a conqueror, but as a resident, a neighbor, and a guide. He saw their skills, their wealth, and their potential, and his heart hoped to elevate them from material prosperity to spiritual greatness. For a time, a veneer of civility masked the city's true nature. They were gifted artisans and astute merchants. But this very prosperity, a gift meant to inspire gratitude, became a poison. It bred an arrogance that rotted their souls from the inside out. Little did the world know, beneath the shimmering surface of this thriving metropolis, a monstrous sin was beginning to fester. A sin so unprecedented, so unnatural, that it would forever be attached to their name. A darkness was taking root, one that would lead them down a path of no return, turning their paradise into a stage for their own annihilation. The prophet's tears and a people's rebellion. The cracks in Sodom's facade shattered, revealing a horrifying carnival of sin. The prosperity Allah had gifted them didn't lead to humility. It fueled a hedonistic frenzy. The unspeakable became their banner, their pride. The act of homosexuality was no longer a hidden shame, a glorified public spectacle, brutally enforced upon travelers and strangers. Hospitality died and was replaced by predatory lust. Highway robbery became sport, and public decency was openly mocked in their gatherings. They had created a society that was a complete inversion of divine law. Against this roaring tide of deviance stood one man, Lut, alayhi salam. With a heart breaking for his people, he rose to his sacred duty. His words were not of condemnation, but were pleas that tore from a grief-stricken soul. "Do you commit such immorality as no one in all of creation has ever dared before you?" he implored, his voice echoing in their debauched streets. "Indeed, you approach men with desire instead of women. Truly, you are a people transgressing all bounds." He reminded them of the lush gardens and flowing rivers, begging them to see the giver behind the gifts. He warned them of a punishment that would be as unique as their sin. But what is the plea of one righteous man against an entire nation drunk on its own depravity? They laughed in his face. Blinded by desire and emboldened by their wealth, they met his desperate pleas with mockery and threats. "Bring us this punishment of Allah if you are telling the truth," they jeered, their voices dripping with derision. To them, Lut wasn't a messenger of God. He was an obstacle to their freedom, a relic of an old morality they had evolved beyond. "It's our personal choice," they likely argued, a chillingly modern excuse for their rebellion. Their arrogance was absolute. They truly believed their wealth and power made them immune to God's law. How much can one man endure when an entire civilization declares war on God? The Prophet Lut's desperation grew. Day after day he preached, and day after day their hearts grew harder. The final line was crossed when they conspired to expel the only pure family from their city. Their charge against him? "Expel them from your city. Indeed, they are people who keep themselves pure." Their sickness was so profound that they saw purity itself as a crime. The final appeal for mercy had been rejected. The scales of divine justice were now tipping, and the silence from the heavens was about to be shattered by a scream of utter annihilation. A scream from the sky and a scar on the earth. The final night fell upon Sodom, a darkness that mirrored the blackness in its people's souls. The divine judgment didn't arrive as a storm cloud, but in the form of 3 young men, so beautiful their appearance was unearthly. These were no ordinary travelers. They were angels of the Lord sent to execute the final decree. They arrived as guests at the house of Lut, alayhi salam. The news of these handsome strangers spread like a virus through the city's depraved networks. A frenzied mob, their eyes glazed with insatiable lust, swarmed the prophet's home. They beat on his door, demanding he surrender his guests. Imagine the terror of a father, the last bastion of righteousness, standing alone against a tide of pure evil. Lut, alayhi salam, in a final, desperate act to awaken any shred of their humanity, pleaded with them, "Oh, my people, here are my daughters. They are purer for you. So fear Allah and do not disgrace me concerning my guests. Is there not a single righteous man among you?" His voice cracked with the agony of a man watching wolves surround his home. But their hearts were dead. "You know we have no right to your daughters," they snarled back, "and you certainly know what we want." In that moment of ultimate horror, the angels revealed their true purpose. "O Lut, we are messengers of your Lord. They will never reach you." They commanded him to flee with his family in the dead of night with one terrifying command: do not look back. His wife, however, whose heart secretly sympathized with the wicked, would make a fatal final choice. As dawn broke, the judgment began. It wasn't just a storm. It was the deconstruction of reality itself. A deafening shriek tore the fabric of the sky, the mighty blast. Then the very atoms of the earth screamed in protest, as a cataclysmic earthquake didn't just shake the cities, it flipped them upside down, hurling them into the air before crashing them back down into dust and ruin. And then came the rain, not of water, but of stones. Superheated, laser-guided projectiles of hard clay from the heavens, each one marked for a specific sinner, obliterating every last trace of the people and their cities. The destruction was absolute, precise, and terrifyingly swift. Lut's wife, unable to resist the pull of her past, glanced back and was consumed by the same fate as the people she secretly sided with. The cities, once a paradise, became a desolate, toxic wasteland. Today, the Dead Sea, a body of water so salty no life can survive in it, stands as a silent, physical scar on the face of the earth, a monument to their sin. They perished not just for one sin, but for their pride in it, for celebrating their corruption, for mocking their prophet, and for violently rejecting every chance at mercy. Their story is an eternal warning that Allah's blessings are a test, His messengers are a mercy, and His justice, when it arrives, is absolute and inescapable.